Hello everybody, I hope you're having a nice day. So I'm here today to do a Q&A, which is something I want to do every month because we do get lots of questions randomly throughout the month, whether it's on email or social media or in the comments, and this just gives me a chance to answer them. So I'm going to do a monthly Q&A, and I'm also going to include an offer in that video as well. So I've got a very exciting 50% offer that I'm going to save and tell you about at the end of the video. But I have screenshotted a lot of questions, and so I'm just going to get on and go with them. Oh, before I should tell you that I'm wearing the Alice top, which I haven't worn since I was pregnant. I had that maternity version of it actually, which I loved wearing. But yeah, it's nice to wear this, and I do love the V-neck. I just think V-necks are great because they just accentuate into the waist, don't they? They kind of just draw the eye in. So yes. Right, okay, first question. I'm going to see how long these all take because it might be that I don't want this video to go on and on and on because that might be boring for you guys. So I'm going to answer as many as I can, as quickly as I can. So this is from Erin Van Handel. What does your pattern production process look like? How you move through brainstorming, prototyping, drafting, testing, and any other steps you take. So right from the beginning, I get an idea, and that idea could come to me from seeing somebody walking to work as I'm driving to work, or seeing somebody on the tube, or watching a film and being inspired by one of the characters, what they're wearing. Like, inspiration comes from everywhere. And so once I have had that inspiring idea, I might then start to look for similar styles on Pinterest and create a little mood board of ideas. I will also sometimes draw out a design because I can't find anything photographic. I'm not actually a very good illustrator, so I give the pattern cutters these crazy drawings that look like a child's done them, but they forgive me for that, and I explain what they look like. I will show you one day. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the initial, and then I sit down with one of our pattern cutters, and I currently work with two pattern cutters, so both of them are teachers, so Julie and Kate. So I sit down with one of those guys, and I talk through the design, and we talk through sort of the ideas, and then from that they will go away and draft a first pattern, and then we will have a toile fitting. Now a toile is basically a mock-up of the garment in usually calico, but if it's a drapey garment, then we'll do it in something like lining, acetate lining, something that's drapey, or a cheap rayon, something that we've got that we don't need. So it's important, I think, when you're toiling that you do use the right fabric, because toiling something like the Eve dress in calico, you're not going to get an idea of the kind of the way that it will hang. And also when you are toiling, you have to get used to kind of accommodating, oh well, it's probably like that because it's in the calico, because obviously calico is really quite stiff. So we do that, and then we have a fitting. Now we fit everything on me, and that's purely because I'm here, I'm free, and that's just how I've done it, and that's how I visualize whether I like things or not. I look at them on myself, and my old boss Philippa Lepley used to do the same with all the wedding dresses she designed. She'd put them on and she could see then. So but one thing, what we have to be aware of is I'm not an exact size for Sew Over It, so we always think about that when we're looking at the design and the fit of the garment. So for example, I mean, at the moment I'm sort of a bit different, but normally I used to be 8 on top and 10 on the bottom, and I have a slight, I have a curve in my back a bit, so I've got kind of a curvy sway back and a sticky outy bottom. I have one shoulder that's higher than the other. I have quite narrow shoulders, and I'm long in the waist. So all of those things we're aware of, and so we're thinking, okay, well that's like that on me, so it's probably like that'll be okay. And often what we do is we put them on other people in the team as well, so that we can just see how it behaves on them. So yeah, so we first toile it. Very rarely do we do a second toile, because we have done so many patterns now. We've got our blocks really nailed, and also I kind of think that we're just very much in tune, me and the pattern cutters, and we just sort of get things quite right early on. So I think the last time we did a second toile was for the Francine jacket, which is ages ago, and that was because it was such a fitted and detailed jacket. We needed to kind of tweak it quite a bit. But if we're just tweaking it a little bit, sometimes we'll just tweak it a little bit and then try it on again. But often what happens is we tweak it a little bit and then it goes to sampling stage. So then the fabric, we decide what to make the first garment out of, and then the pattern cutter usually makes the first garment, and when they're doing it they write up instructions of how they constructed it. Sometimes if it's very simple, it skips that process and it goes straight to Nicole, our pattern production manager, and Lisa, our sample coordinator, and they start making samples up for the instructions and things. So, but yeah, so if it's being made by the pattern cutter, it will be made to a certain point, and then the hem, for example, we might do another fitting to get the hem right, or just to check how things are working in the actual fabric. So that is the process. Once it's gone through the pattern cutter's hands and over to Nicole, she then makes it up herself. Then we get the pattern, she checks it, and then we send it to a grader who makes it graded into different sizes digitally, and then it comes back, we convert it into a file that you can see, we annotate it with all the information, and for our printed patterns we get it tested by other bloggers or testers, so that could be people who've got quite a lot of experience in dressmaking. And then obviously there's the instructions and all of that process as well. But the patterns themselves, that's the sort of journey they go on. I hope that was answering your question. Okay, next one. How do you choose the names for your patterns? This is by Ricky B. Or do you just pick them after people you know, or pick names that you feel suit the pattern? So at the beginning, it was very much sort of names that I felt suited the pattern, or they were people that I knew. So for example, Joan and Betty, they're both characters in Mad Men, and those dresses were inspired by Mad Men. However, we also have the Poppy dress and the Phoebe, the Poppy playsuit and the Phoebe dress, and both of those are after dogs. Poppy, as you know, and Phoebe was our first dog when I was growing up. So the Doris dress as well, that was my first cat, but it also fit with the kind of era of the Doris dress. So, hello Pops, Poppy's on the table here. You coming over here? You gonna come say hello? Aye! Speaking of dogs, here she is. So yes, but now, because we've kind of gone through most of the people I know and the names that fit to the classes, to the patterns, we now often just decide as a team. So someone will send around some ideas, and we'll just sort of think, right, yeah, that works with that pattern and that works with that pattern, and yeah, it's basically, does it feel like it fits the pattern? Okay, next question. What tips do you have to getting into the industry, dressmaking and tailoring? I'm at college doing sciences but wanting to change plans. So I didn't go down the normal route. I actually did languages at uni, and then I went and studied later. Personally, I didn't actually finish my degree when I studied at London College of Fashion, because I found that I wasn't learning as much technical stuff as I wanted, and I also got offered a job in the Bruce Oldfields in couture, so I was like, that's why I'm doing this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get that job. So I think the best way of getting into the industry is to do work experience. Now, often, I mean, it's difficult. So in fashion, a lot of jobs aren't always advertised. They can be, but they're not always, and it's often word of mouth. And so for you to be privy to that word of mouth, you need to have worked in places. And I think so many people I know got jobs because they were interning. So I do think work experience is the best way to get into things. Hope that helps. I had this a couple of times. Lisa, how do you find the time to sew with being a mum, running your own business, etc., etc.? I find it very difficult actually, and I really have to push myself. And once I get going, it's fine. And I think I'm lucky that I'm a quick sewer because I can get things made quite quickly. But what I find I do is I cut everything out one evening, and I generally do it in the evenings. I don't have time to do it when Jasmine's napping, because she doesn't nap for that long. But what I have been doing last month is I actually do a bit at work. So I don't really take lunch breaks as such, but because I don't, I kind of just go, right, I'm going to just have a break from doing all of this stuff and I'm going to do some sewing. Now I know that is not helpful to most people because they don't work in a place where there's sewing machines, but I find that for me that means I get started with a project, and I often find that the hardest way is to get started with a project. Another thing I do is I will ask Matt to just, well, ask Matt. Matt takes Jasmine out at the weekend and I'll say, look, can you walk the dog and, you know, go have a coffee, and I'm just going to get started with this. And again, once I'm started with it, I'll then pick it up in the evenings. Now, a lot of evenings this week I've said to myself, oh, I'm going to sew, but by the time I've put her down and then eaten, I just feel so tired. I do not want to sew, but I don't feel like that every evening. So if there's an evening where I'm not feeling like that, then I do make the most of it and do some sewing. So yeah, that's how I do it. But yes, it's very difficult. Gone are the days of me sewing into the night as well, I think. Alex41 has asked, have you ever made clothing for your daughter and any plans for children's patterns? So this seems quite topical because today I'm going into work and I am actually going to make a few bits for Jasmine, and I'm doing that at work because that's exactly my plan, is to make some patterns for babies. And I have said this on videos before, but you must have missed it. And I'm going to start off and do some baby patterns, so from 0 to 24 months, around that, I think, or 0 to 2 years. Well, that is 24 months. Around that age range, I'm going to do some patterns. I won't do older because I feel like I need Jasmine to be older for me to understand what patterns I need and what things are good. So yes, I am in the process of starting to make more things for her and develop some patterns there. So watch this space. I'm on it. How did you come up with the name Sew Over It? And this was by Sam Mai. Or is it Sammy? It's 2 words. So this was actually a brainstorming session with my best friends in a car on the way back from a weekend away, and I wanted something short, and I wanted something snappy, and I wanted something that wasn't twee or feminine, which is, I know I'm very feminine and that's very much part of the brand as well, but I wanted it to, that's why I chose that font and why I wanted those colours, the blue and the white, because I wanted it not to be feminine, because I wanted to break the stigma of people thinking it was kind of a, I don't know, an old-fashioned thing that women did, and it wasn't, you know, edgy at all, and it wasn't, you know, it was uncool. All those things that I've been trying to kind of fight against and prove that it's not like that. But yeah, so she came up with it, and yeah, I can't even remember what the other things around that name were, but sometimes with a business name, what happens is you come up with a good idea, and then when you visually try and represent it in a logo, it just doesn't work. So this did work, and actually what's really interesting is the guy that is designing the new shop for us, he's the husband of one of my best friends. He designed the Sew Over It logo way back when, you know, 7 years ago or something, before I'd even launched the first shop, and it feels so great to have him back on board, and it's almost like we've done a full circle, and he's so talented and he gets it, and he just, yeah, it's going to be so amazing. I was there yesterday and I was just so excited. It's looking so good already. Do you make any fit adjustments when you sew over it patterns for yourself? Yes, I do. So like we were saying, we have to kind of tweak things. So usually, because of my bum, I will make a size 10, but my waist is a size 8. So I have to make adjustments to bring things in. I also have to, sometimes I shorten, sometimes I lengthen the bodice, and sometimes I don't. So for me, I sometimes feel that I look better with the waistline cheated, so with the kind of waistline that the pattern gives you, because sometimes I can look too long in the body if I don't do that, and if I lengthen it to match where my waist is. So, but if I'm wearing something with a belt, then I do move the waist seam, because otherwise you get the waist seam sitting above the belt, and that's really annoying. But apart from that, I don't really need to change that much, which means I'm very lucky, because the really tricky areas to fit is the bust, and they're all around here, and I generally don't need to change that. So it's, yeah, my bum is the hardest place, and I do sometimes have to adjust the hem because of my bum and the way that I stand, so it will go up at the back. So yeah, those things I have to do, but yeah, not massive fitting. And I think, you know, you do get, I mean, obviously I make mainly sew over it patterns because, you know, I don't have much time to sew, and I also want to promote the patterns to you guys and show you them in different fabrics. If I had more time, I would make up lots more other patterns. And those of you who've been watching these videos for a long time, you know, 2 years ago, a year ago, I was making a lot more of other people's stuff. But now, one, we have so many patterns, and two, I just don't have the time that I used to, so I can't kind of explore other patterns in the same way. But also, because I know that the sew over it patterns fit me so well, it's quicker for me to make them. How do you sew the hems on jersey? On my molly top in particular, I find the curved hem really hard not to make a wobbly and slightly stretched. This is so mad. Yes, it's really hard, and I completely agree, especially with something like a viscose jersey, which is great for a molly top. It's partly to do with making sure your tension's right. It's partly to do with making sure you aren't stretching your fabric as you're pushing it, as it's going through. So when I sew jersey, I kind of use both hands to really make sure that the jersey isn't being stretched on the machine, and I almost gently sort of push it in, and that can help. And also you can get kind of stay tape as well. So there is a tape you can buy that you can stitch on top of, and then it dissolves, and that will help stabilize it. It's like a stabilizing tape. So yeah, you can use that. What are your favourite patterns to sew from other pattern houses and indie brands? This is from Emma P. So my most favourite, I think you all know, is the Decades of Style 1940s Empire waist trousers. Absolutely love that. Or love those. And yeah, have so many of them. So that probably is my favourite. Other favourites? Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. I haven't made anything from anyone else for so long. I really want to make an Anna dress. I've never made one by By Hand London, but I really want to make one of those. I just think they look fab. I love the bodice. Oh, and not Bettine, the Agnes top by Tilly and the Buttons. Obviously I used that a lot when I was pregnant, but I do love that top just as a non-maternity pattern, because I do wear tight jersey tops, so I really like that. So yeah, those, I'm sure I've got more. I always look at the Fold Line Sew Reporter, and actually I should say that if you want to see a lot more patterns and new releases and things, and also they do a video on Sew the Trends, check out the Fold Lines vlog. I'll put a link to it in the comments, but it's brilliant. So it's with Kate, so Kate and Rachel run the Fold Line, and Kate does the vlogs, and yeah, she's great. She's, yeah, it's one of my favourite vlogs to watch. And so she does a roundup of the monthly releases, and then every so often she'll do a Sew the Trends. So she'll go to Oxford Street and she'll look at trends that she can see, and then she'll match them with patterns. So that's a really good one to watch for other patterns. My question for the Q&A: you've mentioned a few times that you tend to wear a slip under a lot of your dresses. Is there a pattern that you use for these, or do you get them ready to wear? This is by Katrina Ficarotta. I just buy it from M&S, which is a British kind of standard, it's not a department store really, but it's just, they kind of do everything. Maybe it's a department store. Anyway, I get basically M&S slips. I don't want to waste time making one. I personally don't think there's any point in making very, very simple items. I think it's a bit, a waste of time. And when they make them so well, they're so simple anyway, and often you want them in anti-static fabrics as well, which is really hard to source yourself. So yeah, I just buy them, and I do shorten them sometimes because the hem lengths are not right. But yeah, I don't make them. I can sew things like pillowcases, but I'm nervous about making clothes. What would be your suggestion to start with? So I would suggest you start with a skirt that requires cotton. So really, really basic. Don't go near any drapey fabrics at the beginning, because that will be an added challenge. So you want to make something where you can just sew straight seams pretty much as well. So a skirt will usually be that. There might be a slight curve in the waist, but you're not going to be going around a neckline or anything like that, because sewing around curves is hard as well. So something, obviously we have a class where we do a full circle skirt, and that's really good because you're just doing the straight seams. You are doing a curve on the hem, but it's not a big curve. An A-line skirt would be good, with darts and a facing, something like that. And in terms of a zip, I'd start with a regular zip, not concealed zip. I hope that helps. And we're done. I'm back to photos of Jasmine. So those are the questions that I decided to answer this month. I chose the ones that I thought that would be interesting to most people, but if I haven't answered your questions, you can ask me again to answer them. I will keep looking back as well in the comments and seeing what you guys are asking for. So yeah, I'll make sure I remind you before I do the next one. So the offer that we're going to do this month is an amazing offer. I wanted to start with a big offer that was a goodie, and so we are going to do 50% off our online classes until Sunday night. So as from now, you can get 50% off our online classes. So that means a course that's normally £40 will be £20, and the code that you need is thank you YouTube. So they'll put that in the comments below, but we are only going to be talking about this here. We will be telling people to come here and find out what it is, but this is an offer that will be each month that only you guys that subscribe and watch these videos will get. So make sure you tell your friends to subscribe to this, or make sure you guys subscribe to it if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on the offer video that we do every month. But yeah, hopefully that will be a nice treat for you all. Anyway, that is it for this week. I'm going to go to the office now and do some editing of this video so I can get it up, do some sewing for Jasmine so I can start working on those patterns, and I've got to go and check the new shop as well. The first wave of builders are leaving today, so I need to just go sign off on everything that they've done. But yeah, hopefully it won't be quite as manic a day as the other 2 days this week, because it's been pretty mental running around doing everything and trying to fit it all in. So anyway, I hope you all have lovely weekends, and I'll see you next week. Bye!